G'day everyone, welcome to Inside Rugby with Mark, and as you can see I've been forced inside today. Yes, we're having UK-like weather over here in Cancun today. Absolutely bucketing down with rain, so I haven't been able to get out into my favourite park, but hey, I'm here, I'm going to talk about rugby and that's all that matters, so let's get on with it. The All Blacks are playing England at Twickenham this weekend, and what an exciting game, and probably outside of the games against the Springboks this year, probably the biggest challenge for the All Blacks, this game against England. And obviously they're talking about this Grand Slam, and this is the one they really need to win before they finish off their tour against Wales. So what I thought we'd do in this video today is go through the two teams, give you my views and opinions on the selections, both from Steve Borthwick from England and Robertson from New Zealand, of course. And then I want to ask you what you think is going to happen in this game. I've got my ideas. I'm going to share them in this video. So let's get on with it right now. Now, whenever we're talking about rugby in the UK, we've got to check out the weather because that could have a big impact on the game. They're getting a lot of rain in London today, and that might be still around for the weekend. So let's have a look at it right now. I'll just bring up the weather report. And there we go. On Saturday, it's going to be a minimum of 9-14, cloudy with precipitation just around the afternoon as we'd expect, but only a 20% chance of rain. So we might be okay for this game, folks. We could get some fair enough weather for it. But let's talk about the two teams and have a look. Let me bring those up for you now. And I put this little slide together because I thought it'd be also good to have a look at the previous encounters and have a look at what's happened over the last 5 times the All Blacks have played England at Twickenham. You can see there, pretty close scores, only a few points in it. And of course, in 2018, there was just the 1 point in it. And it was a draw in 2022, and last year, there was just 2 points in it. And you can guarantee that it's going to be probably another close one in the weekend. So let's go through the two teams, and we'll start off in the front rows. And for the All Blacks, we're going to see Ethan de Groot, Cody Taylor, and Fletcher Newell back in. So Ethan de Groot getting the nod this weekend. Had a bit of a knock last weekend, but he looks to be okay. So the New Zealanders have got a good front row there, I think. But let's have a look at the English, and they're going to have Finn Baxter, Jamie George, and Joe Hayes in the front row. So what do I think of that matchup between those two front rows? Well, I think the All Blacks might have the advantage here. I think their scrummaging just needs to go up another level. I thought that the Scottish did very well against them last week. And I'm sure Jason Ryan would have got into the boys' head this week that they just need to go up another level. We weren't seeing the kind of dominance that I thought the All Blacks might show in the forwards last week. So it'll be interesting to see how the English respond, particularly with Finn Baxter and Joe Hayes in there as well. Okay, let's move on now and have a look at the locks for the two teams. And first of all, for the All Blacks, we're going to see Scott Barrett returning as the captain of the team, and we're going to see Fabian Holland. So Barrett back after getting that lacerated injury on his leg. He's all fit to go. Did we miss him? Well, I thought Josh Law played really well. Fabian Holland played really well. For me, that's the future of New Zealand's locking combination. They did very, very well last week. So the pressure's on Scott Barrett, in my eyes, to really perform. Otherwise, the New Zealand public is going to have something to say about that. On the English side, we're going to see Maro Itoje, the captain of the English, of course, and he's going to be partnering in this game with Alex Coles. So again, I'm going to give this one to the All Blacks because I think Scott Barrett and Fabian Holland combined can have a better read of this game, particularly in the lineouts. Now, we know Maro Itoje is extremely dangerous. He's one of my favourite players as far as forwards go across the world. He's extremely good at being competitive in the lineout, so watch for him to cause some nuisance to the All Blacks. But I think the two All Black locks have got it over the two Englishmen combined in this game. I think Maro Itoje is probably the standout lock in the game, but Fabian Holland is very close behind at the moment. And I think Scott Barrett is going to be better than Alex Coles. So there we go. That's my call on the locking combinations in this game. Now let's talk about the back three from each side. And we're going to see for the English, Guy Pepper, who I thought had a fantastic debut in his recent game, Sam Underhill and Ben Earl. Ben Earl's been playing good rugby, can score tries from anywhere, of course. And I think that's a really good back three. They're going to give the All Blacks some hurry up, that's for sure. But in the All Blacks, we're going to see Peter Lakai, Adi Savia and Simon Parker back in the 6th jersey this weekend. Now, Simon Parker's back in because I think Razor's looking for just that brute sheer power that he can bring. And obviously we saw Wallace Satiti, who's a smaller player, playing in that position last weekend. So I think the English are going to be really in this for the breakdown. I think it's going to be great to watch. Guy Pepper, I rate this guy. I think he's a very good player. We always know what we're going to get from Sam Underhill and Ben Earl at the back. Watch out for his busting runs. He usually does 1 or 2 in the game. He can score a try from anywhere. He's a very dangerous player. So watch out. I think the back three forward battle is going to be extremely interesting to watch in this game. I can't really call between the two teams on who's going to have the advantage. Okay, so those are the two forward packs that'll start the game. Who do I think's got the edge? Well, I'm going to give it to the All Blacks slightly, but don't underestimate this England pack. I think they can be very good, but I think where England are going to be dangerous in this game as far as forwards go, it's going to be off the bench, and I'll talk about that a little bit later on. So let's move out to the back lines now and have a look at the two teams and how they're going to line up in the back lines. And for the All Blacks at 9 and 10, we've got Cam Roigard and Beauden Barrett. We wouldn't have expected anything different, I don't think, in those two positions. And for England, Alex Mitchell and George Ford. A lot of English fans and rugby fans in general been a little bit disappointed that Finn Smith hasn't got a chance at starting this game, but it's obvious from George Ford's inclusion in this English team what Steve Borthwick is intending to do this weekend. There's no secret that we're going to see the All Black back three peppered by high balls, and the All Blacks are going to be put under a lot of pressure. It's definitely been an area of weakness throughout the season at different times for the All Blacks, and I expect nothing to really change in this particular game because there's no Caleb Clark at the back for the All Blacks in this game. So I think Steve Borthwick, by putting George Ford in there, has made a good decision, in my opinion, from a tactical point of view. We'll just see how it goes. On the All Black side, a lot of us are thinking, well, is Beauden Barrett going to get his kicking boots together in terms of his general play? It's been a bit lackluster throughout this year. Kicks to Neville, nobody throughout the field have also caused problems for the All Blacks, with opposition being able to run the ball back at the All Blacks and causing a lot of pressure, or putting a lot of pressure on them, I should say, which has resulted in points from time to time. So this is one area that Beauden Barrett needs to really firm up. Cam Roigard was very good again against France. I expect him to have another big game. And this could be the kind of game that Cam Roigard really sets up the All Blacks in terms of those sniping runs and causing some breaks. But watch out for the loose forwards from England trying to keep Cam Roigard under control. That's going to be something that's going to be really interesting to watch in this game. Can they shut Cam Roigard down in terms of those sniping runs and running those inside channels? Then let's move out to the 12 and 13 position for both teams. And for England, we're going to see Fraser Dingwall and we're going to see Ollie Lawrence. No Tommy Freeman in this game for England. He is injured. So we're going to see a bit of a shake-up here. Ollie Lawrence, though, very good. Fraser Dingwall's got a lot of experience now. And I think these two guys are going to be doing very, very well in the midfield for England. But do they match up to what the All Blacks bring? Well, we're going to see Quinn Tupaia and Billy Proctor from the All Blacks this weekend. So it's a change up for the All Blacks. Billy Proctor is going to be starting the game. He came in off the bench in recent games, so we're going to see him starting. And Lester Fainganuku is going to move out to the wing. Is that going to cause problems for the All Blacks? Well, we have to wait and see. A lot of you have been asking the question, is Billy Proctor's time up? Has he been given enough opportunity? Have we seen enough attacking flair from him? Well, maybe this weekend with Quinn Tupaia in the 12 jersey, we might see a different Billy Proctor. I'm hoping we do so because we haven't seen his best attacking ability, in my opinion, so far in an All Black jersey. On the English side with Dingwall and Ollie Lawrence, we're going to get some busting runs up through the middle. The All Black defence is going to have to be tight, but I think the All Black defence can maintain these two guys, and I don't think there's going to be too many gaping holes there for these Englishmen to run through. But it is going to be an interesting battle in the 12 and 13. Now let's look at the back three in each team, and for the All Blacks we're going to see Will Jordan at fullback and we're going to see Leroy Carter and Lester Fainganuku on the wings. And then for the English we're going to see Freddie Stewart at fullback and Tom Roebuck on one wing and Emmanuel Fai-Waboso on the other wing, and that's a very potent back three for England. In fact, it's going to be the spice of the game for me, these back threes. and how much they can inject themselves in the game. Fingers crossed, we're going to get a dry ground and we're going to see the ability of these two teams to be able to run the ball. But is that going to be the English intent, or are we going to see the All Blacks throwing everything at England? So let's talk about the impact off the bench, because this could be one of the determining factors of the game. And of course, we've seen in recent games from England their ability to be able to really capitalise on a strong bench. So let's have a look at the English bench, and exciting to see Luke Cowan-Dickie back on. Alice Genge is going to be the vice-captain in this game, and Will Stewart. So that's going to be their front row that comes on in the second half, barring any injury in the first half. And then we're going to see Chandler Cunningham-South with Tom Curry and Henry Pollock. So again, it's the 6-2 split from England, and it seems to be the modus operandi now for Steve Borthwick and this team to try and put pressure on their opposition in the second half. We saw it work well in the English game so far. It was very good against Fiji last weekend. Will they have the same impact against the All Blacks this weekend? This is where I'm suspecting this game could be potentially won and lost. Of course, Henry Pollock is a fantastic player coming off the bench, but Cunningham South is also very good. He's been playing well of late, and there's just a lot of experience, youth, mobility and strength coming off that English bench. So let's have a look at the All Blacks impact players, they call them, coming off the bench. And it's going to be the front row of Samisoni Takiaho, Tamaiti Williams and Pasilio Tossi are going to come on for the front row. I really like this front row for the All Blacks. I think they're going to have it over the English front row that come on. Very exciting for me. And then the other two forwards for the All Blacks in their 5-3 split is going to be Josh Lord, who I thought played outstanding last weekend against Scotland, and Wallace Satiti, who had a better game for the All Blacks last weekend. The three backs for the All Blacks, we're going to see Cortez Ratama. Anton Leonard-Brown is back in the team for the All Blacks, and the super sub many are calling Damien McKenzie will be back there again for the All Blacks. Will he save the day again? For the English, the two backs, Ben Spencer and Marcus Smith, coming off the bench for them. So there we go. That's a really interesting bench. What do I think of the All Blacks backs? Cortez Ratama hasn't been getting too much game time because of Cam Roygaard's domination in the number 9 jersey, and I expect Roygaard to go deep into this game as well. And then we're going to see Anton Leonard-Brown back in the All Black jersey, and I'm smiling a bit because a lot of you will remember that I'm not a big fan of Anton Leonard-Brown. And I know Razor is counting on his defensive skills, but I want to see an All Black team that's built around attacking flair and capacity to be able to score tries. And for me, Anton Leonard-Brown doesn't bring that. So obviously Razor wants to shore up the defence, and that's why Anton Leonard, but he can have an impact when he comes off the bench. And that's why I like him as a super sub rather than obviously starting, which I'm not keen on at all. On the English side, Marcus Smith, we know on his day he can be absolutely brilliant, but I do think the All Blacks with their 5-3 split in this game are going to have more control off the bench. I see them being more defensively aligned, except for Damien McKenzie, so I think that might be Razor's ploy in this game. He wants to get off to a fast start. He wants to score a lot of tries against this English team and see whether or not the All Blacks can hold on in that last 20 or 30 minutes when that English bench comes on. And I think that is going to be the emphasis of this whole game. What impact is the English bench going to have, and whether or not we're going to see the kick and chase strategy from George Ford and his backline to put pressure on the All Blacks, and hoping the English defence, their loosies, can get in, snuffle up some of that ball that's dropped by the All Black backs and create opportunities from that, whether they be penalties or tries. I think that's going to be the game plan from England. I like what I've seen from England so far this year. They've decided to play their own brand of rugby depending on the competition that they're going to play. And this weekend, they've chosen George Ford to take on the All Blacks and use his strategy per se. So we'll have to see how it goes. Marcus Smith gives them that little bit of dynamic ability off the bench. For the All Blacks, they need to play better in the forwards for me than what they did against Scotland. We didn't see any form of domination against Scotland up front last weekend, and that will be interesting to see whether Simon Parker's involvement in this game is going to lead to some different outcomes for the All Blacks. We can expect big games, of course, from Ardie Savea and Fabian Holland. and the All Black forwards need to lift their game to give them some kind of dominance if they can over this English pack. I think this is going to be a really interesting game. I think there's going to be two different strategies at play here. I think England are going to use the high ball strategy. I think the All Blacks are going to play at pace and try and run this English team around and off the park, and hoping that they're going to get a substantial lead at halftime. Unlike they did against Scotland, they can't afford to leave a 17-point margin to unravel in the second half. The All Blacks need to keep the pedal on the metal if they do have a lead in this game. Otherwise, I think England can come home the stronger and possibly win. I'm excited for the game. I think it's going to be one of the crunch games for the All Blacks this year. I think England have the team that can beat the All Blacks, but I'm picking a very narrow All Black win by maybe 1 or 2 points if they do win it at all. But tune in for the encounter at Twickenham on Saturday. It's going to be a really interesting game. But let me know in the comments what you think about the game and who's going to win. I'd also like to know your views on the selections that both teams have made. Is Finn Smith's omission from the English team a mistake, in your opinion, about Steve Borthwick's decision to go with George Ford? And do you see the All Blacks having a more thorough backline performance this weekend than what we saw against Scotland last week? That's another thing that I would like to hear from you. And should Josh Lord be in there starting instead of Scott Barrett? Or was it always going to be Scott Barrett returning from injury, of course, as Razors captain? Okay, folks, that's it for my preview of this game between England and New Zealand to be played at Twickenham in the weekend. I hope you enjoy it. I'll be back after the game, of course, with a full in-depth analysis review of the game, giving you my thoughts about the strategies that we used, whether I was right or wrong, and what players stood out for me during the game at the different moments. Now, if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, shame on you. Hit the subscribe button. If you've enjoyed my content today, even though I'm sitting inside out of the rain and I'm not in my favourite park, please give the video a thumbs up and a like as well. And get to writing your comments down below the video, because I'm always interested to read those and hear your great opinions on this channel. And if you haven't voted already on the games going across the world this weekend, get over to the community page. Put your vote in now. There's some really interesting games. We've got the World Cup qualifiers going on, of course. We've got South Africa in action against Italy. We've got Australia playing Ireland and Dublin. We've got Scotland and Los Pumas going on. And we've even got Portugal playing as well against Hong Kong China team, which will be an interesting game. If you haven't watched those teams play, get over to YouTube and check out the highlights later on. Okay, I'll leave it for that in this particular video. Thanks very much for watching my channel, Inside Rugby with Mark. And it's time for me to say adios from beautiful Cancun in Mexico. I'll see you all again soon. Bye for now.